Welcome in, Hawks fans. Your boy Russell is back at it again for another Believe in Hawks episode. Hawks snap the losing skid tonight, 117-104 over the Minnesota Timberwolves in Atlanta, in a game where I would say you saw the full complement of what the Hawks could be and the worst version of what the Hawks could be in four quarters. But at the end of the game, ramping up the intensity and getting the win over the Timberwolves to get themselves back to 500, and now maybe can get a string of games put together again and get themselves a couple of games over 500 moving forward. But before we get into the game breakdown, I like to say appreciate all of you for tuning into the Believe in Hawks episode. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel for more Believe in Hawks content. Turn on the notification bell for whenever I drop. Like the video if you enjoyed this episode, of course. Leave comments down below about anything we discuss if you have an opinion. Also, same thing for my audio listeners. Leave a rating and review. Tell your friends about Believe in Hawks as well. If you give us 5 stars, it'll help us move up the charts on Apple playlists and Apple Podcasts, and that will allow people to find the pod, and then we can expand this and everything under the sun. So, like I said, guys, appreciate you guys tuning in for another episode of Believe in Hawks. Talk about this Hawks win tonight. But yeah, like I mentioned, the Hawks in this game, you kind of saw everything tonight, right? Bogey did not play in this game. He was ruled out in the game. Trae did play tonight, and Trae probably had one of his best offensive games, I would think, of the season, just the way he shot the ball tonight. He was taking one-legged threes and knocking them down. So usually if Trae's doing that, he's probably having a good shooting night from the field. But overall in this game, this was a game where you had two teams. Minnesota's kind of been in limbo. They've kind of been, they've had their issues. They've had their struggles. And then you have the Hawks who are coming into this game out of the NBA Cup, haven't won a game since the Knicks game. You're kind of, up and down. Obviously, some injuries have popped up. Onyeka Okongwu, Trae missed the game. Bogey missed tonight. So you've had some injuries pop up again after that. That kind of has impacted you. But tonight was a game that both teams probably looked at as let's get ourselves back on track. And luckily tonight, the Hawks were the team to get themselves back on track in this game. They started out this game hot from the field. They were hitting threes. I believe they were shooting close to 70% from the field in the first quarter from three. They were shooting the ball really, really well from three to start this game, and they got a big lead early on Minnesota. But then Minnesota got back, hit some threes at the end of the first quarter, and it kind of continued into the second. Hawks kind of just had a horrific second quarter. That's just as bluntly as I can put it to you. Their second quarter it's the epitome of what we've seen when they've blown games this year. The Blazers game, the Wizards game, to name two, where it's like they can't hit shots. They can't stop anything. Minnesota's getting a ton of open threes. And listen, Minnesota realistically is not the greatest three-point team, even though they take a ton of threes. They're shooting way more this season, I think, than they've ever had under the Anthony Edwards era. But they clearly were just just allowing Minnesota to get so many good looks. And that was a problem, especially when this team takes a lot of threes. I would think defending the three would be a very big priority. One thing I noticed tonight when I did watch the game from that perspective is I felt like the Hawks went under a lot of screens tonight, which led to Minnesota getting open looks. And I wonder, do we need to try to go over screens more in those situations? I felt like that would have probably helped, because there were just times. I remember this one with Zachary Richichet, I think in the second half, went under a screen and he didn't switch. So then Conley had an open three. Luckily, he missed it, but it was like, and Naz Reid, don't even get me started on Naz Reid. Naz Reid had open looks all night. And that, to me, that was interesting that we were struggling to defend the line, but also Minnesota's one of those teams that their center does take a lot of threes. So, that may be something. Obviously, not Rudy Gobert, but Naz Reid. So I think maybe Hawks were struggling to adjust to that early in the game and did a little bit better job in the second half. But like I mentioned, first quarter, Hawks played really well. Second quarter, horrific. Third quarter was like more of your even quarter, more of your, both teams are kind of going back and forth, trading buckets, trading baskets. It was a 30-30 even third quarter. So both teams kind of were even kill in that quarter. And then the fourth quarter, the Hawks just ramped up the intensity defensively, started not turning the ball over because turnovers were a big issue tonight again for the Hawks. They had 21 total, 18 in the first three quarters. They only had 21 to end the game, so only 3 in the fourth. Played a much cleaner game. And I'll say this. One thing about this Hawks team is we have seen what this team is at their best and what this team is at their worst. And what I mean is, at their best, the Hawks don't turn the ball over. They're playing clean basketball. Really good ball movement, 35-plus assists. They don't lose the three-point battle by a lot, or they win the three-point battle, and they're good on the boards. And usually their bench is outscoring the other team's bench by a lot. And when the Hawks have that, the Hawks could beat any team in the league. They have done that. That's their formula to beating teams like Cleveland, teams like New York. You know, that's been their formula. Milwaukee the first time. They didn't lose the battle a lot, the three-point line. They were clean with the ball. They hit shots, you know, and they got high number of assists. When this team is at their worst, turning the ball over, that leads to them not playing defense. They're not getting out in transition. They're not making any threes. They're going to destroy the three-point line. And that's when you see these collapses or these quarters of just like, what just happened? You know, why was that quarter so bad for the team? You know, and it comes with being a young team. This is obviously still a young roster. This is not where you have some veterans, obviously, but you have some young players. And right now, it's the young players' inconsistent play that I think is leading to the inconsistent play as a team. Because you don't know what you're getting on a nightly basis from Riche. Dyson, you know what you're getting defensively, but you just don't know what you're getting offensively on a daily basis from that perspective. And, you know, Jaylen has been Jaylen's been good. I think some people have complained that maybe sometimes he disappears at times late in games, right? But from that perspective, you know, those are your three guys I think that gets the ship moving. And then obviously you've been having to play Vic Krejci a lot because Kobe Buffkin's out for the year, and Vic Krejci's your de facto 2 backup point guard. So you've seen both sides of it. And the thing is too with this Hawks team has a very thin margin of error, I think. They're not a team that they can play sloppily and still beat you. Usually the Hawks, or like what I mean by that is like, they're not going to win a lot of games playing sloppily. Like Boston pretty much can play okay and still blow you out just because they have so much margin of error because of how good they are and other things they can do so well. Like literally they can shoot twos bad, not be a great defensive team and turn the ball over, but they can also knock down 28 threes and then it doesn't even matter. Hawks don't have that. You know, they don't have the ability to do that right now. They have to play really good defense, play clean basketball, make their shots, get high assists. And when they do that, you see them beat these teams. And they have a little bit more margin of error, but still not a large margin of error. Because like I said, you see just two different teams at times. That's why we have games this year where the Hawks will let up 40 points. And you're like, what the crap? But then there's games where they just lock in defensively. Now that team only scores 18 in a quarter, and they score 35, 36. And you're like, this is what the Hawks need to be. And they're just trying to develop that identity and develop that consistency. That is the big thing they're trying to develop. And when you're going through that developmental process, it will be mixed results. But at some point, you hope you can gain consistency. Because during the 6-game winning streak, the positive side, the best version of the Hawks came out. And that's why they won those games. But these last 3 games, you've seen the worst version of the Hawks. Spurs, I mentioned it in that review. When they played clean basketball, they were outplaying the Spurs. But the problem was they played sloppy basketball, and that's what kept the Spurs in the game. They had 20-plus turnovers. And then you left it up where all Wemby had to do was get hot, and you lost. I mean, Memphis, Trey Young didn't play, but and obviously there was some issues with the backup point guard and ball movement, and Memphis is much more built to play without John Morant than the Hawks are to play without Trey Young. But like you saw that, obviously you didn't have all your big guns, but you saw that. And then this game, you saw first quarter, clean basketball, got that big lead. Second quarter, sloppy basketball. Minnesota took the lead going into half. Third quarter, even play. Fourth quarter, ramped it up. Defense, no turnovers, making threes. Gary Bird was big tonight, 7 threes off the bench. Boom. Now you see them run away with the game. The formula is very clear for this Atlanta Hawks team. It's just on a nightly basis, are we going to see that version of the Atlanta Hawks? That is going to be the key to the game. Are we going to be able to see that version of the Atlanta Hawks? And I've mentioned, people have talked about the defense. The defense has been one of the most important parts. Because if you can defend, if you have a bad offensive night, if you're not shooting the ball well, sometimes defense can keep you in the game and just give you a chance. All you need is a chance. And that's something they're trying to really build up. In these types of games, like how you close tonight is how you do that. In the first half, both teams were shooting around 45%. In the second half, Hawks are shooting 53%. Timberwolves shot 42%. The Timberwolves field goal percentage went down. Hawks field goal percentage went up. That shows you what this team can do in stretches and how they can just – you have to be at times in this league to be a good team, be able to just kind of overwhelm a team at times. And that's when you make your push. And the Hawks have shown that, but they've also shown they can be overwhelmed. So tonight was a great example of that. Statistically, like I said, Hawks shot 53% for the field. Tim was 43. Hawks shot 50% from 3, 18 to 36. Really good shooting tonight. Obviously, like I said, Gary Bird, big part of that. Free throws, missed some free throws tonight, but whatever. Turnovers, 21. Both teams played sloppily tonight. Both had 21 turnovers. So it was definitely a sloppy game. Hawks at 27 assists. Usually they like to get that over 30. So the Timberwolves did a really good job of kind of keeping the Hawks from scoring on those types of plays. Also, Hawks lost the offensive boards and the rebounding battle tonight. They won on the defensive boards, but offensively in total rebounds, Minnesota won that battle. They didn't win in blocks. They didn't win in steals, and they didn't commit as many fouls as the other team did. Minnesota also won in fast break points. They had 22 break points compared to the Hawks 13. But the Hawks did win points off turnovers. They had 26 to Minnesota's 22 in terms of points off turnovers. So, like I said, they got some good things to go their way in this game. And I think that really, when you see a team lock in like they did in a fourth quarter like that, to take that and just, like I said, a team like who you have Ant who can go off. And like I said, Minnesota has their offensive issues. They're not a great offensive team if Ant isn't going. Ant only had 16 points tonight. Dyson obviously played a big role in that. DeAndre Hunter played a big role in that. 7 to 20 from the field, 1 to 7 from 3. If he's not going offensively, Minnesota usually has a hard time scoring. Obviously, Naz Reid is a guy who stepped up for them offensively tonight, but you see their struggles, right? So when the Hawks, when you play a team like Minnesota, they rely on their defense to keep them in games, and then hopefully Ant can score enough and get enough from the supporting cast to win. The Hawks in this game, to beat Minnesota, basically, you have to kind of make it a barn burner, because you're going to assume that our offense is going to be going more than your offense, right? And like I said, they got a big performance from Garrison Matthews tonight, which was a big boost to the offense they got in this game. So big stuff there from the Hawks to win this game, man. Like I said, and snap that losing skid. So Jaylen Johnson tonight, 17 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, 8 of 14 from the field tonight. I mean, Jaylen obviously has some dunks in this game, has some fast break dunks. Made a couple of shots there at the end that really helped the team out. Really good pass to Capella on an alley-oop. Jaylen has been just coming along. People have been kind of talking about Jaylen like, oh, I don't know if he's a second option. Again, we are just completing the first quarter of the NBA season. and we're trying to decide if a player can be something. Nobody said anything during the win streak and also during the time that Jaylen Johnson was basically almost leading us in scoring every night. No one said anything. But, we lose some. Like when you lose games, everybody always tries to look at the stats and look at stuff and think about everything that went wrong in the game and why didn't we win the game and say, well, he didn't do this. And so now he sucks. And it's just like, bro, like you can't do that. Like, yes, there's definitely growth Jaylen still can make in clutch time moments. But at the end of the day, you always have to keep one thing in mind when it comes to a guy like Jaylen Johnson, a guy who can impact the game offensively, playmaking, defensively. He's still young. He's still learning. He's still growing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to sit here and crucify this man for that. Of course, I can say he needs to play better. Of course. Anybody can get that. But some people are trying to make assumptions about what a player is. And I'm like, I'm sure when he wasn't really playing, like I remember when Jaylen wasn't really playing under Nate, and people were like, Jaylen Johnson isn't that good. That's why Nate didn't play him. And the whole time it wasn't. It's just Nate didn't want to play young guys. And thought, oh, he's not that good. And then he had the year he had last year, and people were like, well, he can't stay healthy. And I don't know. Everybody when we traded DeJounte was ready to find someone else. Like, no, do not. Like, people were like, no, I don't think Jaylen Johnson can step up. Anything. And Jaylen Johnson has played really well this year and continued to take another step forward. But there's still steps in growth to be made there. So I'm happy with what Jaylen's giving me right now. Like I said, there's definitely things he can improve. And I feel like it's something he will definitely address, and things that Quinn, I'm sure, is talking to him about, the coaching staff is talking to him about, so they can help improve it. Dyson Daniels tonight, again, a game where offensively 10-4-4, Dyson Daniels stat line. Led all starters with 16 net positive on the floor. He had 8 steals tonight. He almost had a double-double off of steals. He leads the league in deflections by a wide margin. He leads the league in steals. And getting 8 more tonight just continues to show you why they call him the Great Barrier Thief. Yeah, and Dyson's been taking some heat because it's felt like his defensive impact hasn't been as great in these last few games, and then he hasn't been giving you scoring. So obviously people are coming with criticism. Tonight, he really was one of the big catalysts to that fourth quarter and kickstarting that run the Hawks had to start separating from the Timberwolves. And again, Dyson sets the tone defensively for the Hawks. And so when he does things like that, where he could create and set the tone on their best player, Anthony Edwards, make him have an off night, that in and of itself will make this team so much better in the long run. Because the fact that, like people have said, even in the Spurs game, they can have moments of defensive brilliance and just shut you down or make it extremely difficult for you is big. Like the Spurs game, people talk about that game because he was like, what, minus 36? That was a bad matchup because the Spurs don't have an elite guard option. So there's really no one to guard unless it's like you're making him guard Wemby, realistically. So it wasn't a great matchup for him, right? But in games like this, you see his impact because a lot of teams, if this not a star big, Dyson usually is able to at least attempt to defend them. And if they're star, and if he can help the star struggle, it can make usually a lot of teams' offense struggle. And you saw when he started kind of making it extremely difficult on Ant, the offense for the Timberwolves started to struggle. They couldn't make shots. They were contesting everything at the rim. He started it off with the turnovers, deflections, getting some fast break opportunities, points off turnovers, and Dyson really ignited that and led to the success they had. So again, Dyson is a guy who you may not see the stat line and see him score a bunch of points, but you will know he can impact the game in different ways and be a catalyst still to why they win. And also why they've been going through this backup point guard experiment. There have been times, because also Quinn Snyder did a bit of a different rotation tonight. He's had Jaylen and Trae come out at the same time. Usually he likes to leave Jaylen in and then take Jaylen out and put Trae in. And it feels like that's more of a – and I feel like that's a decision he's making because of what I'm about to say. Vic to me is not a guy who runs the show, but he's a good guy in terms of a connector and fast break pushing and finding guys. Dyson, who has played point guard in his career, at times tonight kind of said, all right, give me the ball, let me run point, which the Hawks have seen success off of. And I've noticed when Dyson is playing more of a point guard role, he's more aggressive offensively. And I think that's just because he has the ball in his hands and he knows he's dictating things. So he's thinking, okay, be aggressive and try to find the open guy. Where I think when he's playing off ball, he's kind of, going to that lag of an off ball guy. Oh, I'm helping Trae get out of a trap. Okay, now I got to find the next guy to pass it to or get it back to Trae. Maybe if my matchup's favorable, I'll take the layup. Where I feel like point guard, he's more aggressive. And so I think he's experimenting with Krejci, Dyson backcourts and thinking, okay, what if we let them kind of play off each other from a playmaking perspective and see what that looks like, And I think tonight you saw some good, you saw some bad with that, obviously. Again, Garrison Matthew hitting shots was big, but it was interesting that he went to that type of rotation tonight instead of doing the Trae on, Jaylen off thing he's been doing to try to keep one of them on the floor. So we'll see if this is something he sticks with. Trey Young tonight, 29 points tonight, 7 assists. He came out aggressive, 10 points early in that first. He came out very aggressive, probably one of the most aggressive starts he's had in the game. Hit a couple of threes. He was hitting one-legged threes tonight, so that you knew Trae was feeling good. Missed the last game with that calf. He really they needed a game like this because I think it helped set the tone offensively for the Hawks tonight when they saw Trey Young come out aggressively because he is a guy who teams worry about. So if he gets going, teams are like, oh, Trey's getting it going. We gotta, we gotta be on top of him, make sure he's not just scoring whatever. Also, it was a heel. Trey Young had a heel. But and I think that I think when Trae is able to score, I think it helps the pace of the offense because just knowing at times he can just 10 points here, 13 points here. That's what he wasn't really doing. Even during the win streak, he wasn't like 13 points here. He did it at times. I won't say he didn't do it at all, but he did it at times. Tonight, he started off with that pace. And then even in the fourth quarter, down the stretch, he hit 2 threes. 2 big threes to help extend the lead, continue the gap extension. And, I think, again, that's part of Trae. Like, New York game, kind of paced himself in the first half. Third quarter had like 13. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I like that he's been kind of playing, and then he'll have like a quarter where like, all right, let me be aggressive. Let me get my shot. Let me get some shots up. He's shooting the ball a little bit better. Now, and then I think that I just think it helps the Hawks stay afloat, if that makes sense. Instead of like him never really having that strong quarter and kind of just getting points here and there. And tonight, like I said, he gave you a really good game tonight, 29 points, and he played well tonight. So, Trae did what he needed to do out there. Clint Capella, 4 points, 8 rebounds. Obviously, playing against Gobert, playing against Naz. He was taken away from the rim when Naz was in the game. And obviously, Rudy Gobert is a bigger player than him. But overall, I think Clint held his own down there and did a pretty decent job with what he had assigned to him tonight. Zachary Richie continues to be up and down offensively. Only took 5 shots tonight, hit 1 3, 5 points. Obviously, we all know the same story of this game is when is Richie going to find his offense? That will be huge to what this team can be because if Richie can, like I said, Richie can give you at least 10 a night. I mean, that even is big. If he can just give you double digits a night, I think that's where okay, we're in a good place. Because you would like to get a little bit more from him. And I know some people are going to look at him and think he's the first overall draft pick. He should be giving us 20 points a game. But at the end of the day, not all first-round picks are equal. Not all first overall draft picks are equal. So, but overall tonight, I think he did some good things defensively. too. But obviously some things he can improve. Was a little sloppy with the ball tonight. There's a couple of turnovers, little sloppy turnovers tonight. So just gotta get Ricochet back on board. Refocus. DeAndre Hunter tonight, 19. I mean, not I'll say 29. 19 points tonight. Continues to play really good basketball for this team. 19, 4 and 2, 5 and 9 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3. Just continues to play really good basketball. 15, second highest plus minus with 15 in the game. Continues to be a godsend for this team. Continues to really be a catalyst into why it feels like he is the reason why we are in a majority of these games, because DeAndre Hunter is able to at least come off the bench and give you scoring punch. And that's big. That's big. And DeAndre Hunter has done a fantastic job. And to me, I think it's crazy that we are even entertaining trading him for Michael Porter Jr. Because I'm just like, brother, like what? Like I don't know if Michael Porter Jr. is playing DeAndre Hunter right now. So what are we doing actually with the trade? That doesn't seem like we're getting better with that trade. And personally, because some people are saying sell high on him, and I'm like, again, what is the plan? Of all the trades I see, I'm like, what's the plan? Because if you trade him, then where are we making that up? People have said Bogey and a Kongu for Michael Porter Jr. And I'm like, so what are we doing at the center position then? Because they want to trade Clint, apparently, reportedly. So are we just resetting at the center position for some reason? Like, what I'm saying? Like, I can get into that, but like, it's like, all right, guys, we got to have more laid out plans with trades. We can't just say just trade this one player. All right, well, we kind of need him. Like Bogey, we kind of need his shooting. Oh, well, we're getting shooting from Michael Porter Jr. Okay, well, you're also saying trade So we're losing 2 bench scores for 1 starter. So our bench got weaker. like, and that's been a big part of our success. So, just make a little bit more sense when you talk about it. DeAndre Hunter, I feel like if the Hawks go on some like 10-game losing streak, yeah, we can definitely discuss DeAndre Hunter in trading on the trading block. Hawks are still competing. I don't see why you make that move with him at least involved in the trade, because he's played great and he continues to play great, and he's brought an energy. He's played differently. People have talked about how he's barking. Love it from Hunter. Love it. Gary Bird, Garrison Matthews, man. Garrison, man, he gets heat sometimes because when he isn't hitting his three, again, like a lot of bench players in this league, you are on that team for a particular reason. When he plays, they need his shooting. If he's not shooting, he's not a starter for a reason. He's not a guy that people want as a starter on other teams for a reason. They know he isn't a starter type player. But dang it, when he gets that one elite skill he has, which is shooting going, it changes the game for him. 7 threes tonight, that's huge. Just because they need this, especially when Bogey's out, you need his spacing. You need Garrison to hit threes just to make up for what you lost with Bogey. And he gave you 20, 25. And if you're getting that from Garrison Matthews, I mean, I'm happy with it. But this is also part of like, there's going to be games where it's not a good matchup for Garrison defensively, and he's not shooting the ball well, and we can complain about it. But like I said, games like this tonight, man, it's why he's here. If Bogey's out, we have another shooter. It's not a matter of we don't have another shooter on the roster. We got a guy who can come in and hit threes. And the thing about Garrison is when he shoots it. It's never like he's always like set. It always feels like he can take it from any platform, any angle, and still knock him down with the same accuracy. And that's the mark of a great shooter. Larry Nance tonight, 6 points, 2 threes. I mean, basically, Larry Nance at this point, most of his points come from the 3-point line. He basically is a 3-point merchant for this team. He's basically like, when he's out there, just take threes, brother, because that's what you're best at. And I said this when Kongu was out. I said, shooting wise, they'll be better because Larry Nance can kill teams from 3. And so teams have to defend him, which can work to their advantage, because now if he's guarded by a big, it has to take the big out the paint. And that allows guys like Dyson and Trae and Jaylen to drive, because now you have a guy who can reliably hit that shot. Like a Kongu still is at a point where teams are going to probably let him take it. But like Larry Nance is a guy like, he's shooting it well, we have to guard him. And so that can create new mismatches or more opportunities the Hawks can take advantage of. Obviously, he wasn't like elite tonight by any stretch of the imagination, but he's doing the best he can in the minutes he's given and with what he's doing. A big great tonight, 2 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist. Still working through taking on that role, more of a playmaking role. Like I said, I've already told you guys what I think his best playmaking role is. But right now, they don't have a backup point guard, so they have to use him the way they are. Obviously, provides defense, provides a good connector out there. Like I said, biggest thing for him, I've always talked about, is just offense. Just giving you something offensively, because that will help big time. So really, really happy overall with what we did tonight against Minnesota, getting ourselves back to 500. We got the Bulls coming up next. Obviously, a team that's given us a lot of trouble. We don't play them till Thursday, so we will be off the next couple of days. So hopefully Bogey will be back for that game probably, and we'll go from there. And hopefully we win that game. And then we got our hated rivals, the Miami Heat, team that's given Hawks a lot of trouble on Saturday. So, and then we have a back-to-back Sunday with the Toronto Raptors. So what did you guys think about the game tonight? How did you think about the game? What stood out to you? What are different things that you felt like the Hawks could have did better? Things the Hawks you think maybe aren't doing enough? Obviously, I've talked about the two sides of the Hawks and what they've been. So, they just got to continue to build and grow as a team, get healthy, and, just continue to push on. It's a long season. So nothing really to worry about right now, but really glad to get back out of that losing streak and get back on the winning side of things. I got used to it for a while during that winning streak. But I think that's about it for the Believe in Hawks podcast. Obviously, guys, if you enjoyed the episode, subscribe to the channel, Racing_2K. For more Believe in Hawks content, like the video as well. Leave a comment down below. Audio listeners, leave a rating and review. Always appreciate all the love. Appreciate you, the guys, who let me be part of your day. And yeah, also follow me on Twitter, Racing_2K as well. But that's all I got for your hosts of Believe in Hawks, Bryce Lewis. We'll see you next time.